Hello, BSc 6003 students. Dr. Conway back to talk to you about Lesson 12, which will be our last lecture. And this one is on developing an energy management program. This afternoon, we'll have our regular scheduled Zoom call at 3 p.m. In that call, I'll take any last-minute questions related to your energy management business cases, but I'll also be talking to you about the final exam, okay? So don't miss that Zoom call because there will be some important information departed in this Zoom call, all right? So let's get started with this particular lecture, which is an overview on developing an energy management program. Typically, an energy management program would be, the reason we're dealing with it last in the course is that typically it would be something you would put in place to implement any of the major recommendations of a significant business case, all right? So you would develop a business case to bring an improvement to energy management, but then you would be seeking to put in place an energy management program to both monitor results. We've already discussed the importance of monitoring results, and would also allow you to invoke a effort for continuous improvement in energy management going forward, either in process terms or phased introduction of new technology, whatever was called for in your business case. Typically, one would adopt an energy management program for that. Many of the same principles apply in devising an energy management program, the same that would apply in developing a major business case. And that is having active management buy-in is a key issue, okay? Top management involvement is recognized as one of the key elements for any successful energy management program. It will provide momentum, resources, communication within and outside the organization, all those factors we've discussed in context of a business case. And for that reason, energy managers will typically spend quite a bit of time on a regular basis to inform and educate managers across the organization as that is applicable. Okay, this means, of course, that energy managers, and we've discussed this before, need to speak to different objectives and priorities of different kinds of managers, from finance to marketing, from manufacturing to regulatory affairs, depending upon what the manager is responsible for. There's no use talking to that manager in energy speak, but rather you have to convert or translate energy objectives into a language that fits their objectives and their priorities, okay? Another key component that's out there, of course, is the issue of team composition. We've also discussed this in context of advancing a business case. There's no use trying to advance a major energy management business case if you don't get key managers on board, from the operations, from marketing, from whatever key priority the organization wants to achieve, and that the energy management business plan and energy management program can help that organization or that unit implement, okay? So for team members to be attracted to your work, they must see a benefit in it. It's like anything in life, right? So energy managers will spend a lot of time ramping up, who are the people that I want to work with throughout the organization to get something accomplished. There's no use trying to sit in your office in the basement and draft stuff up, and then there's no traction for it when you come up to catch some fresh air. All right? And the size and composition of the energy management team should be adapted to the scope of the energy management program or system, and may vary from a few people to a very large team, depending upon the size and complexity of the organization. And when the energy management program or system is company-wide and covers many or all subsectors or units of the organization, the team should include representation from these important different units. All right? That's key. Each unit will also have different energy needs and different constraints for achieving energy efficiency goals. All right. They might also have quite different energy baselines if they exist in different climatic regions, use radically different technologies, or whatever the case may be. All right. So effective coordination at the corporate level should ensure information sharing between units of the organization, so everybody understands the challenges and can share solutions, and that more importantly, the energy manager gets a good grasp of all the constraints that your constituency, because they're your constituency, have before them, okay? Every member of the team from each unit of the organization should be applying common energy management system principles and procedures. Like, what is our objective? What are our priorities? Are we selling ourselves as a green company? Are we only after a reduction of energy intensity by unit of production? Whatever the criteria is or are, everybody should be working from the same playbook with respect to how we're going about achieving objectives and how we're going about measuring them. Okay, and often team members should be recruited from different disciplines. Okay, you're not recruiting energy managers, right? You're the energy manager. What you're recruiting is people that have a good insight into different aspects of the organization, and that can be strategic, operational, technical, environmental, financial, economic, are all considered as important parts of the energy management team, depending upon what the energy management objective is. If it's only a process related issues, then maybe not the finance department or something. But if significant investments have to be made, obviously you want the vice president of finance to appoint somebody to your team, and these kinds of things all have to be taken into account. All right. Now, it's always a good practice whenever you're doing an energy management program to implement something you've got approval for in terms of a major business case. It's important to it makes good sense to use a standard that people recognize and understand and they view as authoritative. Okay, and one of those would be obviously Energy Star. All right, and the steps in Energy Star should be well known to you by now. Okay, you make a commitment. We discussed that. You assess performance. You set goals. You create an action plan. You implement the action plan. All right, and the reason it's handy to use a standard is that then people can refer to an authoritative standard, and it's not you convincing them of every incremental step, but rather they see a standard that's been adopted by industry leaders, and they say, okay, that's how we go about doing it. All right, let's go. Okay, and so that's the way that people will look at it. Step 6, evaluate progress. Remember what we said in business cases, right? Verification of results is a key aspect for any business case, as it is for any energy management program, and we recognize achievements, and that's what you want. You want a situation where you set up a situation where you report back on progress, and units that have done especially well, you make sure that you congratulate them with that. You give them some recognition for that. All right. Another standard, of course, you should know about is ISO 5001. And it provides a practical way to improve energy use through the development of energy management system, very much like ISO 14001 and these kinds of standards where you're setting up a system to systematically pursue continuous improvement. Okay, now like most ISO systems, they don't set specific objectives. The organization sets its own objectives, but the intent sets its own objectives beyond committing to regulatory compliance. But beyond regulatory compliance, sets its own objectives and sets up a system for moving towards those objectives, recording progress and reporting on progress. Okay, the steps would involve develop a policy for more efficient energy use. That's the set of objectives. Fix targets and objectives to meet the policy. Okay, those would be sub-objectives. Use data to better understand and make decisions about energy use. That's all the stuff we talked about on metering, on all those kind of things. Measure the results, review how well the policy works, and continually improve energy management by periodically revising and updating the standard for your company. All right. Now, certification to ISO 5001 is you can pick up the guidance document and read it for yourselves, and you probably already have. But I lay out some of the requirements that are typically required in ISO 5001. You have the slides. I'm not going to go through them in great detail right now. All right. So keep that in mind. This material, as well as everything we've discussed about developing a business plan, what you would do when you first arrived in a company to understand the life cycle of its production process, where its major energy uses are, what equipment it's using, what equipment is old, what is new, and so on. All those steps will be relevant for you to describe in the final exam. All right. I'll talk to you this afternoon about the one question for the final exam that will need to be done over 2 days. I've reduced it to one question. All right. So let's talk about that in this afternoon's Zoom meeting, and then we'll go from there. All right? So anyway, we'll talk to you this afternoon, and take care for now. Bye-bye now.